It's Pops talking about Justice League New Frontier, the second animated film that I'm kind of revisiting in this great legacy and era of DC animated films and projects. And I have to admit, I don't remember anything about watching this back in the day. And I think that it's just one of these films that was a nice, interesting, creative process to give us sort of an Elseworlds tale of the superheroes coming together, Justice League formation. You got all this sort of like golden age imagery here, especially you see here with Superman. I will say that the story left me a little lackluster, but not necessarily a bad time, especially for something that's so short. It's just over an hour and 15 minutes or so. And a lot of mystery that surrounds everything just showcase their talents, which I think is what was pretty good for from the get-go. This, like many other features and the first three episodes of the Justice League TV series, really have a hard time trying to figure out how they're going to get Martian Manhunter more popular. How are they going to relate to him? How are they going to get him in everything? He's a character that's significantly less popular than all of the rest of these. He can't really carry his own comic book. He doesn't really have the fandom that everybody, carries along them, whether it be the big three like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, or even Flash, Green Lantern, and Aquaman to a certain degree. But he's here. He's part of things. They figure out how to work him in with this whole new threat called the Center. We have a little bit of a introduction. We're talking about evolution, the extinction of dinosaurs, talking about everything working. But then by the time we get to the end of the Korean War, we're going to get to some Hal Jordan. Yeah, because we have Hal Jordan out there with a friend of his named Ace. You have Flash on TV talking about how he's helping people. But you have all of this sort of like anti superhero stuff. Now, this plays very well for that post Korean War time frame, Golden Age superheroes, the rise and fall of comic books. I love all this. I thought this was actually a really interesting setup. Again, the villain is a little too mysterious with this whole the center thing, but it's not terrible. What is interesting is we get basically Golden Age Superman. We actually really get a cool design. We get a good feel with his character, and just I loved every minute of all that. I will say, I just think that there's a good way to kind of present Superman in this universe, how it kind of works, his relationships with every the different characters. This super powerful being that's kind of casts a shadow over everyone else. And some people are even in this, the heroes themselves are kind of in awe of being in his presence. So this actually is a very interesting way to kind of present all that. Of course, there's also a conflict, right? Wonder Woman versus Superman was actually kind of a weird element here about disenchanted heroism. And she's like, no, we're not doing this. These women have been victimized, blah, blah. So it didn't really kind of feel quite right. Felt very kind of shoehorned in for its time, especially. Like, I don't know. This felt like more like a modern movie trope that kind of was put in here. And I don't totally hate this. It was just kind of a weird thing. And it treats her more as like an outsider than someone who's going to come into the core part of the Justice League. Of course, some of the best moments, again, going back to Martian Manhunter, him learning how to assimilate into culture by watching television is fantastic. And the biggest disappointment for me is that, we have Hal becoming Green Lantern very slowly in the background. All the Martian Manhunter stuff is disguised. Them trying to find that they actually are Martians out there. How this could possibly even relate to the center, the need for heroes to come together to fight some sort of giant threat. This all feels more like the Avengers movie than it feels like a Justice League story. But again, not terrible. Some of the classic imagery that we get kind of oversells the film. Like it just really does oversell where we actually are versus where the film kind of ends. It kind of look good. But so I was kind of disappointed because I didn't remember this much. So, I thought, oh man, where's all these other heroes? Where are they? Yeah, we didn't really get those. Hal Jordan obviously is a star of this movie. Him becoming Green Lantern is by far my favorite part. It's fantastic. It's a little bit of a slow burn for a film like this, but again, it's an hour and 15. How a slow burn could it possibly be, right? But felt a little slow, felt a little sluggish. At the end of the day, this was really one of the better elements. Of course, then there's Batman. We don't get enough Batman, in my opinion. We get Golden Age Batman here fighting off some folks. They kidnap this kid. He's fantastic. It's really, really good to see. Of course, then there's going to be a fire that breaks out, and this is when he figures out that Martian Manhunter is actually this police officer. He's been kind of hiding amongst the humans, if you will, and that he fears fire. He freezes, drops. He can't even move. He's completely immobilized. Then there's the poor boy that has to be rescued. And then what I think is possibly some of the best imagery. He saves the boy, of course, but him seeing the Batman, it just scares the bejesus out of him. Stay away! Oh my God, no, no, can't handle it. Oh my God, no, Batman. Anyway, so everything kind of comes together over the course of a couple years, and you see the Justice League sort of like coming together. with this whole thing with the center and the psychic force and how it kind of overwhelms Martian Manhunter. They have to come together and fight. The Flash, of course, leaps into as the center emerges, and you have sort of like this whole threat to the country and the planet. And you see the other heroes that do finally come in at the very end of this film, where you get like Green Arrow and Adam Strange and all the unknown, that kind of thing, right? But it's Aquaman who kind of emerges carrying Superman, tries to sacrifice himself, all the different cliches that you kind of expect before you have the JFK speech at the end of it that kind of puts that little timestamp feel on it. Yeah, all in all, okay. Uh, it's like a rewatchable thing for me, though, is my problem. Like, I feel like it's okay. We're going to go 3 out of 5. It's very solid. Nothing spectacular. It was nice to have that golden age feel in that type stuff. I know there was a Darwyn Cooke comic book that kind of went with this. There's a lot of promotion around this one being released, but I don't think it gave people the adventure that they want. I don't think it really kind of tapped into that love of the 90s show that they were trying to go for with these features, but it's also super solid. So it is nice. Had a good time watching it. Don't know about the rewatchability part, but I had a really, like I said, good chance to kind of see the different perspective of the different characters and how they would kind of play around this. Anyway, that's my take on it. I am Pops. Love to hear from you guys. Tell me what you guys think.